All right. Eddie Hearns holds a press conference without the fighters for Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua to be held in a country in the Middle East. I still ain't quite buying it. And on top of it, has a lot of pressure put on that fight by some international human rights organizations. Let's talk about whether or not that fight's going to happen in this video coming up next. All right. Eddie Hearn, man. He is, hey, I got to tell you, if nothing else, Eddie Hearns will definitely do some stuff you ain't never seen before. Okay, I'll tell you. For even though I don't care for Eddie Hearn, because I don't think he tells the truth as often as he should, I don't really appreciate the way he tries to tear down other fighters that aren't in his promotional company. Generally, I just do not think very highly of the guy as a person. I have to commend him for his audacity to call a press conference. Announcing a fight halfway around the world from either of the fighters in a stadium that has not been built for a fight that has not been officially signed off on, according to Manny Robles, the manager, the trainer for Andy Ruiz, yet and still is bold enough to hold a press conference without any of those guys there to announce that the fight is going to happen. So now there's all kind of media reports all over the place saying this fight is going to happen, and you have to question whether or not the fact that Andy Ruiz has agreed to the fight or not agreed to the fight. Because it's speculation at this point, whether or not Andy Ruiz has actually signed the fight or not, right? It's not a set fact that he signed that contract. The only reason, but what brings that into doubt? The fact that Eddie Hearn would just be so audacious just to say that he did it. But we know Eddie Hearn will lie at the drop of a dime if it suits him. So, I just gotta admire, man. I can't remember who the guy that said it was. It was like, the bigger the lie, the more people are gonna believe it. And on top of it, the more people that just want to believe you. Like, it's easier to fool somebody than convince them that they've been fooled. I would not be surprised if this fight did not happen at all, and that this was, like many people have said, an attempt to distract people from the fact that they have a major issue going on over there in Matchroom Boxing with Ukad and with the British Boxing Board of Control. And that's the Dillian Whyte situation. There's many people that are suggesting that this is just a way to distract and get the media to talk about something else related to Matchroom, other than the biggest issue that's facing Matchroom right now, which is the Dillian Whyte testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs and being allowed to fight. Thank you to Best Fight the Best Boxing. By the way, if you're not subscribed, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And also, thank you to everybody that supports on the Patreon, everybody that supports on the Cash App. Man, you guys are really who makes this channel go. I usually do that in the beginning, and I think that I skipped it. You guys know I just go through these videos straight away. Typically speaking, I don't do a lot of edits to them as far as like just the things that I say. So, because I like to be spontaneous and I like to talk about it as, just as free flowing as I can, like me and you are just having a conversation about it. And then I'll go to the comment section and we can chop it up in the comment section about it, provided, you're not insulting me too badly and all that. But regardless, Eddie Hearn not only has that issue, right? The fact that the guy is going where the guy is actually going. The country in question, which is in the Middle East, and I'm not going to say it because it's Now, when somebody refuses to say the name of a situation on YouTube, that tells you how politically charged the situation is right now. There's something called sports, WASHING. Sports, WASHING. You can spell that word. Like the second part is you're washing your hands and you're using sports to do it. That's what that's called, right? That's what I'm referring to. The action of using sports to wash your hands. And when do you have to wash your hands? When your hands are dirty. So somebody with dirty hands is using sports to wash them. And Eddie Hearn is more than happy to give them the soap necessary to do it. Let's get something positive in the news about the people that have some dirt on their hands that need washing. Really, really need washing. Like inducing famines in neighboring communities. Like making certain people from a country that I live in disappear off the planet. But yet, Eddie is more than willing to say that a U.S. citizen is going to go there and fight in an arena that does not exist for a fight that has not been signed yet. At least it has not been acknowledged to have been signed by the other party. You got to say, man, if boldness is a virtue, Eddie Hearn has it in spades. No moral compass whatsoever. No shame, right? You have a guy that is saying, will flat out tell somebody in a negotiation with them where they're going, when it's going to be, and you have no say so over it. But he's not saying it to them. I guarantee you, he's not really saying that to Al Heyman, to his face, right? Or whoever it is that are actually passing the paperwork back and forth negotiating, because they're not going to believe it. They're just going to use the media as a way to continue to hype up this guy's power. I've even heard people talking about Eddie Hearn as the most powerful man in boxing. Eddie Hearn, the most powerful man in boxing. Now, never mind that Eddie Hearn is getting all his money from John Skipper over there at DAZN. So wouldn't that make, if Eddie Hearn is the most powerful man in boxing, and the vast majority of his money is coming from John Skipper, wouldn't that really make John Skipper the most powerful man in boxing? Because, hey, man, he is the guy, DAZN, that is throwing around these billions of dollars. But anyway, let's ignore the fact that there's somebody's name, Al Heyman, who has far more world champions, who has a budget just as big as his, who's making much bigger fights on a consistent basis, right? Who is not a one-trick pony. He doesn't just have one boxer in Anthony Joshua, and he doesn't have to resort to measures as desperate as putting in a guy who is under the shadow of the suspicion of the use of performance-enhancing drugs into the ring, and allow this dude to get into the ring without his gloves, with gloves that weren't even checked, and stack the ref, and stack the judges, but yet can still be successful, right? He had Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman, did about 500,000 pay-per-view buys at $75 a pop, roughly $75 a pop, right? So that's about 35, isn't that about 37 million? I think that's about 37 million in pay-per-view on $15 million. I reported it was a $10 million gate, right? And then you got your international rights. So I think he did about a $50 million fight. Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman should have grossed around $50 million. And that's just with the pay-per-view, the gate, and the international television rights on it, right? $50 million. That's as big as any. That's as literally as big as any event, as far as gaining money, making money, is any event Matchroom ever put on. And that was just Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman. There's also another fight coming up on pay-per-view, Errol Spence Jr. versus Sean Porter. And another pay-per-view that's going to take place, that took place this year, which was Errol Spence Jr., Mikey Garcia, and another pay-per-view event that's going to take place later this year, which is I don't know if it's going to be pay-per-view or not, but that's Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Dog, that's kind of a hard argument. But hey, man, he's ambitious, he's boisterous, and he's going to say it. And like Barnum and Bailey said it, there's a sucker born every day that might believe it. Anyway, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.